On January 24, 1961, a B-52 Stratofortress long-range strategic bomber was soaring over the eastern United States. On board were two Mark 39 thermonuclear bombs. Each had destructive force more than 250 times that of a bomb dropped on Hiroshima. This wasn't an emergency mission, it was a routine. The flight was part of the US military airborne alert program, a Cold War strategy ensuring that even if Soviet Union launched a surprise attack and wiped out American missile silos, the nuclear-armed bombers already in the sky would still deliver a devastating counterstrike. It was the essence of mutually assured destruction, a chilling stalemate where no one dared to strike first. At first, everything seemed normal. The B-52, piloted by Major Walter Scott Tulloch, was scheduled to refuel mid-air with KC-135 tanker, but as the aircraft approached the rendezvous point, the tanker crew noticed something was wrong. They radioed Tulloch with an urgent warning. There was a significant fuel leak in the right wing. Concerned but calm, Major Tulloch acknowledged the issue. The refueling was aborted, and the bomber was ordered to fly out over the Atlantic to burn off excess fuel before attempting an emergency landing. But within minutes, the situation escalated. The crew reported that the leak was far worse than initially thought. More than 17,000 kilograms of fuel had drained in under 3 minutes. New orders came in. The B-52 was to return immediately to Seymour Johnson Air Force Base, but as the aircraft banked inland, another problem arose. The plane began to shake violently. The loss of fuel had unbalanced the aircraft, and the structural stress was causing it to break apart mid-flight. Just moments from disaster, Major Tulloch gave the order to bail out. The B-52 was breaking apart mid-air, its wings no longer able to hold against the stress. The crew scrambled for their parachutes, but the order had come too late for some. One man, trapped near forward fuselage, never had a chance to escape. Another, disoriented in the darkened smoke, couldn't make it to the hatch in time. A third crewman managed to eject, but his parachute failed to deploy correctly. He survived the fall, but died on impact. The rest of the crew, including the Major Tulloch, parachuted to safety, landing in frozen fields scattered around the countryside. Some were found hours later, injured but alive. One even landed in a tree and had to be rescued by a local farmer. The bitter January cold, combined with shock and injuries from the ejection, turned survival into its own kind of a battle. But it wasn't just a crew falling from the sky. One of the nuclear bombs had been ejected from the aircraft as it disintegrated, its parachute deploying automatically. The massive warhead, capable of erasing an entire city, drifted gently toward the ground, finally coming to the rest in a tree in a rural field near Goldsboro, North Carolina. The second bomb, still attached to the wreckage, slammed into the ground at a high speed, embedding itself deep into the earth. The impact of the crash was catastrophic, but somehow a nuclear explosion was avoided. When recovery teams arrived at the scene, they made a chilling discovery. The first bomb's safety mechanism had almost completely failed. Of the 4 switches designed to prevent detonation, 3 had been triggered during the plane's breakup. The entire eastern United States had been spared from nuclear annihilation by a single low-voltage switch. The second bomb presented another terrifying reality. As bomb disposal expert Lieutenant Jack Revell and his team worked toward the recovery of the wreckage, they unearthed the device's armed safe switch. A sergeant called out him with a haunting message, "Lieutenant, we found armed safe switch." Revell responded, "Great." But the sergeant corrected him, "Not great, it's on arm." Despite multiple fail-safes built into the system, both bombs had come within hair's breadth of detonation. If either one had exploded, it would have wiped out everything within 28-kilometer radius and sent a lethal radiation across the east coast. The destruction would have been on a scale never before seen in human history. The first bomb was carefully disarmed and removed, but the second was not so easily recovered. It had shattered upon impact, with some components buried deep underground. Groundwater flooding prevented full excavation, and engineers made a fateful decision. They removed the bomb's core, then sealed the remaining radioactive material in place. To this day, the remnants of nuclear bomb remain buried beneath the North Carolina soil. For decades, the incident remained classified. The full details only emerged years later, thanks to investigative journalist Eric Schlosser. Among the documents he uncovered was a chilling analysis by nuclear safety expert Parker F. Jones. The title of the report was "How I Learned to Mistrust the H-Bomb." Jones' findings were anything but funny. He concluded that if single electrical short had occurred during the plane's breakup, one of the bombs would have detonated. Jack Revell later said in his interviews,
"We came damn close. Closer than most people know. If that weapon had gone off, the fallout could have reached New York."
The Goldsboro incident led to modifications in B-52's design. Extra fuel tanks which had weakened the plane's structural integrity were removed, and reinforcements were added in key areas. However, these changes were not enough to prevent similar incidents. Over the next decade, 4 more nuclear-armed B-52s crashed under similar circumstances. Each time, the public was kept in the dark. The people of Goldsboro had no idea how close they came to total annihilation in 1961. In the end, they were saved not by technology nor by human ingenuity, but by sheer, unthinkable luck.